too anxious.
We still do have to stand.
You gotta
though.
tell the AV guy to actually go.
Okay, here we go again. Call the Common Council meeting to order. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Michelle, if you can help me with the roll call, please.
Yes. Doug Saloga.
Present.
Jim Barron.
Here.
Jackie Valdy.
Here.
Wayne Dean.
Here.
Matt Grimmer is excused. Kevin Maples.
Here.
Tim Eicher.
Here.
Kent Atwell.
Present.
Tom Hafner.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll roll into item number 1, City of Delafield citizen comments. Pat, if you'd like to come up.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you again tonight. As you hopefully all know, I'm superintendent for the Kettle Moraine School District, a school district that serves at least parts of the town and the city of Delafield. And I am here tonight because of a request that I sent out. I'm not sure if you all received this communication or not, but we are looking to pull together a study group of citizens who will be looking at enrollment, both historical and projections. We've contracted with UW-Madison Applied Populations Lab to give us projections out to 2028. They've got 4 or 5 different methodologies that they use. We will be looking at space utilization in our buildings as well as capacity, again using 3 different models. And we will be asking the committee to give us scenarios. When I say us, I mean the administration, to cost, to determine if there are feasible scenarios that would allow the district to consolidate closing a school, and what that might mean or what that might entail, what costs might come with that, as well as what my cost savings might be. This is all on the heels of the failed referendum. We had been in the process of looking at attendance areas for our elementaries to look at, we could redistribute to even out some of the bumps that we have. But with the failure of the referendum, we've fast-tracked a much more significant study that will also include middle and high school, and will bring forward to the board what those scenarios might be, if there are any, and what costs and implications would go along with that. We have 5 dates, and we're asking for people to commit to the majority, knowing that summer is a busy time and probably can't make all of them. But the first one is actually June 25th, which is next Tuesday, so it's coming up real quickly, a week from tomorrow. I was hoping that I could balance it with as many non-parents as parents. And of course, I have many parents who want to be on it. I've limited that number. I have 8 confirmed, and there are 2 that I'm still waiting to hear from. Right now, I have 5 confirmed business people or retirees. I do ask that you live in the Kettle Moraine School District so that you would be impacted by the decisions. And the first meeting is really to look at all that data that we've been collecting. We will present information, and then we have a facilitator who will help the group to brainstorm scenarios. We will take those, come back with costs and estimated fiscal impacts, and let the group beat on that a little bit more, fine-tune the scenarios. Again, coming back then with a report. We'll draft the report based on the committee's work. And then August 20th, we intend to share their findings with the school board so it can help inform any future market research that we might want to do to help the board determine the direction of the district. June 25th, July 9, July 30, August 13, and then the presentation to the board is August 20. As I said, I'm really looking for people from the city of Delafield. I have a request out to one individual who's a retiree. I'm waiting to hear his answer back, but I would really love to get someone from the city involved in this, someone who doesn't have a student attending our schools.
Well, I would love to do it. What time of day?
Great. We're going to meet at 6 o'clock at night. The first meeting I know will go until 9 because we've got a lot of stuff to share. The others may not go that long, so we're not going to make work for people.
Well, if I can, I just speak to you privately. I can try to work out a couple things.
I
I have
would
the
love it.
library committee on the 9th of July and just a couple things, so
Do you have a copy of this,
I
Jackie?
do not, so let me.
Does
But I
anyone
think I'd
else
be a
want a
good one
copy?
for you, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Somehow
There you go. So I have a different question. You're also looking for referrals, like if we know somebody
Yes.
who might be actively
You have a
interested,
neighbor
fits the
or you
profile?
know someone
Okay.
of influence? Absolutely.
And who do we refer them to you? Okay, gotcha.
have this? Okay.
I've got that, yeah,
My
okay.
contact information's on here, and I will be happy to follow up with any names. Again, the city of Delafield and the town of Delafield are two of the more populated areas that we serve, so I would love to get
What kind-
representation from that group.
Excuse me, what kind of time frame are you looking to finalize your list? What's the latest date?
Sure. So I guess the absolute latest would be the 25th. I'm giving a report to the board tomorrow night as a part of our meeting.
Okay.
So I'll tell them my progress, but we will be posting all of these publicly, but we will not be inviting public participation. So people can observe. We will also have a portion of our website where we will make things available for people that want to see, the enrollment projections or the data that we're sharing with the group. So full transparency there, but the sooner I can reach out to people, the better it is. Any other questions?
Yeah,
No, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good process to go through. Hard work, but good process. Okay, any other citizens' comments? Any other citizens' comments? Seeing none, citizens' comments are now closed. Item number 2, consent agenda.
Okay, before that, Kent, I'd like to amend this to reflect my abstention from the Special Common Council Gulf Road item from June 6.
Okay.
Noted, thank you.
You want to change it in
I
the
want to
minutes?
change
Got
it
it.
from yes to abstain.
Okay. Alrighty, anybody want anything pulled off the consent agenda, or is there a motion to approve it with the amendment to the minutes?
I'll move. A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Passes. Item number 3, committee reports.
Okay, we've got a couple of licenses. For the first one, it's that time of year again for the liquor license, so I have discussion and possible action on the approval of the liquor license renewal requests from July 1 to June 30th of that year. All the licenses are subject to inspections, and any balances owed to the city must be paid in full.
Move to approve the liquor licenses.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes.
Thank you. The second item is the discussion and possible action on the temporary Class B retailer's license for the Delafield Lions for their car show on September 1st, 2019.
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes.
Okay, the third item is the temporary Class B retailer's license for the Delafield Arts Foundation for their 5K fun, run, and beer garden. It's actually July 19th and July 20th on their application.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Passes.
Last license on here is the discussion and possible action on the peddler's license for Christo Vermeulen of Roastmore LLC to sell coffee door-to-door with his 13-year-old son from now until December 31st, 2019.
And he's here if you have questions. Otherwise, we're looking for a motion.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Sorry, who was the second?
Kevin, I
Kevin,
think
thank
you
you.
won. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes.
I'll email
luck.
you your license tomorrow then. Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, everything on the licenses is now approved. So if you were here for that, you're free to go unless you want to stay and listen to the other things on the agenda. All right, 3B, Planning Commission, Mr. Eicher.
Okay, we've got several items here. First one is discussion action regarding the business plan of operation for Soothing Sense. It's an application for Village Square. I believe the applicant's here.
Yep.
If you'd like to come up. And I will briefly explain what action the Plan Commission took. It was presented as the business plan and the use for CBD oil and other things is not something that's on the approved list for business plan of operations and for this zoning. And it was presented as it can be, if it's substantially similar to another type of business, and we've done this several times, it's commonplace for the city to do this. If it's substantially similar to a different type of business plan or use, it's within the Plan Commission's purview to approve it as being so similar. And it was presented similar to a tobacco retailer, based on the vaping and that type, some of those products that are expressly called out in the business plan. And so for what ended up happening during discussion, it's as close a vote as you can get. We had 6 Plan Commission members present. There was a motion to deny, and I made the motion, and 3 voted in favor of the motion to deny, 3 voted against the motion to deny, and the mayor who presides over that broke the tie in favor of denying, so it comes to us. And just to explain some of the rationale behind, I'm not anti-business, but some of the rationale behind my motion was based on how new this particular business is to the state, and the fact that the CBD laws are something that became part of Wisconsin's law with the farm bill that passed in fall, which licenses hemp growing in the state, and hemp growers need to be licensed by the state. There's no such license required for the retail outfits, and the FDA also requires no license. It's not a regulated product by them yet. And there's one amendment to the minutes. The minutes accurately reflect the discussion, except for the fact that the county does not regulate it either, only as if they're preparing food there, which is like the edibles portion. I don't believe that's part of your business plan, but there's no regulation, so it really falls down to the city as far as we're the last gateway to saying this business is fully endorsed by the city. And I felt with all this pending, I think based on all this pending regulations that are on the table, both at state and the FDA, and the vocal objections that are in our packet from the law enforcement community, and that where there's zero tolerance for THC and there's trace amounts that are in some CBD products, and that it's just as the last gateway or last safety check. I feel that it'd be better to let some of the dust settle on this before it becomes part of a fully endorsed business plan where that is the focus of the operation. And so that was my rationale. I think it was a close vote for a good reason. I guess I'll let the applicant just sort of give an overview and some of the other things that you've gone through and how you prepared for what you want to present.
Well, I've done a lot of research since I was here. And when I first came, I was named vapes, juices, and CBD. And one of the people that were here, he had a problem. There was a concerned citizen because he didn't want me to be a vape shop. And I explained I was not a vape shop. And so they suggested that I change my name. I did that immediately. And I now called myself Soothing Senses. That way the kids would not feel that it was some kind of a vape shop for them to come in and stuff, because it's not. I'm far from what that would be. I actually wanted to, regarding being a tobacco shop, I called the state of Wisconsin, because if you are a tobacco shop, you do need a tobacco license. And because I do not sell any type of tobacco, I only sell nicotine, which is in some of the vape products, which I'm not selling much for vape, but just a little bit because CBD has that. I am not required by law to have a tobacco license. I talked to Henry at the Department of Revenue, and he said vaping products are not considered tobacco, therefore a license is not needed because there is no nicotine. And then also, I do have some handouts that I would like to share. Is that okay?
Sure.
I actually have quite a few. Sorry.
As you do that, can I ask you a question?
Sure, no problem.
Do you have an idea?
It'd be nice if you had the microphone too.
Yeah, let me get there. So you can think about this question. What percentage of your business will be vaping? And wait till you get to the microphone.
Sure, no problem. Sorry about that. And then one more. Sorry, it's hard to do like so many at one time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I sent you guys a video. I don't know if you guys got it. You probably got. I'm sorry I don't have one for you.
I'll share with her.
Okay. I did send you guys, I sent.
I'm sorry, you need the microphone.
Mr. Mayor and Mr. Alderman, I did send you a video from a doctor. I don't know if you actually watched it or not, but it was very informative. But anyways, so the first one, and the question that you have is, I would say 10% of would be vaping is very little percentage of. There's some equipment like a vaping cartridge and stuff that is part of CBD that's really important to people that have migraine headaches. And so for that reason, I would have a couple products, but it would only be about 10%. I'm looking into more of the CBD aspect of it. So does that answer your question? Okay.
I have a question as well. At the bottom of the effects of the CBD, it says Oliver Wenker, MD. What's his affiliation? Is he affiliated
He's a doctor
with,
that has studied CBD and does all kinds of testing, and he makes different products of CBD.
But I mean, is he a local doctor?
No.
Is he a national doctor?
No, he's a national doctor. He's a national, well-known pioneer of CBD. There was a whole video that I had sent to the alderman and to the mayor for them to watch, and it was a whole video about, if I could explain to you what CBD is, maybe that might explain a little bit to you. CBD is a plant, and marijuana is the female plant, and CBD is the male plant. And what happens is, when the male plants are by itself, it has the medical benefits of CBD in it, and the female plants are wanting to pollinate with the male plants. Unfortunately, when they can't pollinate, they get mad, and so then they create the THC, and that is where you get marijuana. The CBD is grown by itself with only male plants, therefore it has no THC. And just so that, one thing that he had said before, I'm actually working with some of the top 3 companies, so all my products will have 0% THC. 0. That means you could go through a drug test and you could pass. So all of my products will be are lab tested within 99.6%. They have lab analysis with them that anybody can see at any time, and they also have 0% THC. So there's no THC, and that is like right on the packaging that there's 0 THC. So that's not anything that you would have to worry about. But if you look at this right here, it says about the CBD, is it dangerous? It says the favorable safety profile, and this is of testing that they've had. A favorable safety profile of CBD in humans and animals was confirmed. The most common side effects include tiredness, diarrhea, change of appetite, and body weight. In comparison with pharmaceutical drugs, CBD has a better safety profile than drugs. And actually, I have been told by some people that they know people that have gotten off of addiction of OxyContin by using CBD. That is one of the effects of it that is on here. But so there's like a bunch of different ones that I can go through how much ever you want to know. But I gave you this important one. And the effects of CBD in your brain and nerves is neuroprotective, reduces seizures. It's already been proven by the FDA and approved for people that have seizures. So that is the one thing that FDA has approved is for seizures. It reduces stress, antidepressive, antipsychotic, reduces pain, improves sleep, improves mood, and it is also helps people with the addiction disorders, Parkinson's, Huntington's, Alzheimer's, PTSD, schizophrenia, and other brain problems. And then I have a list here if anybody wants to see it. And the different products are full spectrum oils, hemp extracts, isolate crystals, which is just pure CBD that you can put on your food, creams, balms, and lotions, drops and sprays, suppositories, edibles and drinkables, capsules, soft gels, vapes, and there's like different plants. I mean, the big thing is, if you can see this, it reduces stress, pain, and helps you sleep. A big thing is this is for the elderly, where, I've already talked to, because I have a store open, and it's in Hartford, and they didn't make me go through all this. So I'm already, being an educator, and I've already educated quite a few people, and I have a lot of return customers that said that they've slept for the first time in 6 years. One guy has come back 2 times in a week already, and he is bringing his mother on Thursday for me to help him. So I have been educating people on it. I've also talked to some nursing homes, and they are setting up educational classes for me to teach some of the residents. They're in the process of having the guardians sign for the residents and the caregivers to be able to learn about CBD and be able to purchase it to help them. So I'm trying to educate people about CBD and help them, be able to have this. I mean, like tinctures, that's a lifestyle. You use it for, a month. You're not going to get an overnight, something's not going to happen overnight. But I've been told by many people, my first customer was 80 years old, and she came in and told me that she was taking tinctures for a month. She feels like she's 40. She kayaks and canoes where she couldn't even walk a month ago. So, I mean, I wish those people could come in, but they did. I mean, they live in Hartford. But, so those are like different things. I mean, there's other muscle relaxing. It helps acne. It supports healthy blood sugar levels, healthy cell growth, anti-addictive, and healthy skin. Other things, it helps healthy bones, increases bone density. It delays and prevents osteoporosis. It improves circulation and blood flow, prevents plaque formation in the heart, cardioprotective, healthy lipid levels, and lowers blood pressure. It reduces inflammation, nausea, vomiting, spasmodic, regulates appetite, supports eye health, and helps reduce or delay glaucoma.
So would you say that this is more of a holistic type of
Yes.
product, series of products, right?
Yes, it
It's
is.
the value is
is
perceived
natural.
by the person that buys it and uses it.
It works. The FDA has already approved it for people that have, for children and adults that have seizures. I mean, now they're doing all the testing for all this other stuff. I mean, like I have on here, it affects so many different things for people, and I mean, it's going to be
Is the FDA's approval for that treatment, is that via a doctor's prescription and under doctor's recommendations?
you know,
Because that's what I read in the material in our
believe that
packet.
it is.
Okay.
But I'm saying that is just the first step in it, and they are doing all kinds of testing to get all of it.
And I don't mean to stop. I guess I do mean to stop you going through all the list of perceived
I was
benefits,
pretty
because
much done.
we can go through every product that's sold at GNC right by Century,
Right.
and the claims are on their bottles as well for all sorts of different things, and what's approved by FDA, and they're not necessarily validated by the medical community and
Right,
everything.
but I mean,
So
I think the important thing was about the safety thing, is that, you know, it is a safe, and it's an all-natural product, and it is, I mean, it's a natural product
So the-
that has been finding helpful, and it's, everybody is different.
And I'm not debating the claims and what people may have experienced, but some of the concern, a lot of the concern that I had from just the technical planning commission approval standpoint is compliance with our code and it being an approved use or not. And what was presented to us as being substantially similar to tobacco, and it's not.
It is.
Because
It's closer,
tobacco,
I think, to a GNC.
maybe,
know.
maybe. But, so that's, we didn't come to a resolution of that in the planning
Right.
commission meeting, and that's why, like I said, it was a close vote. And,
One other thing important to know is you already sell CBD in Delafield.
well,
Right,
GNC,
and that-
GNC does on their website. I don't know if they sell it
Your
in the
gas
store.
station sells
Yes.
it,
Right.
your Walmart sells it, so it's not,
I'm
and
gonna
I
make
wanna
that-
be an educator of
Right.
people for CBD, because people are buying it and they might not be buying the right doses or this and that, so I've actually gone on to like academies and like learned about it, and I just wanna help people learn about it to be able to help them, you know?
So to that point, when it came up on the planning commission, I had no idea what CBD oil was.
I
I had no idea. But since I've called a number of stores around the city of Delafield, in fact, there's at least a half dozen that sell the product now, and those are the ones I could find. And there's an article in the Waukesha Freeman that says Pick and Stave and Metro Markets will start carrying it in the next couple months. It's
And Pick
already
and Save's in that parking lot.
it's already sold at Century. It's sold at it's just factual base. It's already sold at the tanning salon in Delafield next to the Gar store. And, you know, I actually bought some, and it's like a cream that you put on. I tried it for my sciatica and didn't work.
Refund.
But I mean, it's you know, here's the enticement. This little can is $55. So there's a lot of margin in this CBD oil.
Well,
So-
to be fair, I don't sell that, and I mean, there's different things, and I mean, like, I demonstrate my pain cream to people as they walk in, so they do understand what they're buying before they buy it, and people buy it based on just me putting it on them. I could have brought it with me, but I didn't think about it. But I mean, you know, and I don't have those kind of margins. I think that's a ripoff, and I'm not here to rip off people. I sell a 4-ounce jar for like $40.
Yeah.
I sell a little jar like this. for
I would just want to make the
$15.
point that it's already sold in the city of
Right,
Delafield. There are a
exactly.
number of outlets.
I mean, even in the same parking lot is me. So I'm just trying to be more of an educator and like help people. And like I said, and those products have THC. My products most of them are, you know, going to be 0%. I'm actually working with some of the top producers of, you know, medical type stuff and that kind of stuff, just because I want to have a higher quality product than what they can sell at a gas station.
Well, the Harvard Medical School has a little blurb about it, and I mean, I am aware, I work with teenagers, so I'm always aware of all this stuff, but there's a lot of research that has been done for things like epilepsy, pain, sleep, a lot of the things that you mentioned. I always get nervous when I see like some doctor name here, so I always go to like something else that I know I
Right.
can trust. And you know, I think it is basically what you said. It's something that's already being sold in Delafield, and it isn't going to cure cancer, but it has shown efficacy for a lot of chronic conditions. It's not going to fix everything. I get nervous because I see a lot of snake oil salesmen, and that's what makes me nervous, and that's my only concern. But it does. I mean, this little it's just a summary of a study looking at it, that it's essentially safe, and it's not controlled like a lot of supplements that are sold in the stores that are already here.
And that's
But,
in
yeah.
Harvard.
Yeah, and I know the state's looking, it's on the table, there's legislation coming for truth in labeling, and so right now, the current farm bill, it includes the hemp program in the state is a pilot program. So it's not a permanent program until it passes, something it's 7 months old. And so my apprehension was really about us being the only regulatory agency that's willing to step up and say yay or nay, because everyone else says okay, it's okay, or we're taking a pass, and having the fact that it's sold by Pick and Save, business isn't entirely dependent upon it. And so having something specifically focused on something that's in such a tenuous state, I think, and where it doesn't have a specific, it's not specifically called out as an approved use in the city, those things added up for a no vote for me, and it didn't add up to a no vote for others. So
Yeah, I get you.
that's kind of where we're sitting. We're not.
And again, I'm not going to debate the benefits of CBD, but I'm not thinking that this is appropriate for that shopping center. Did that come up at the Plan Commission, that discussion at all, as far as?
In the context of what the public perception is, and what the neighbors fought to have the shopping center be represented as, and like what they thought it was types of businesses were going to be approved there, yes, that context did come up. And
It came up only because I had the word vape, and they did not want a vape shop. He didn't have a problem about CBD, he had a problem with vaping.
And is anything she's presenting here different than was presented to the Plan Commission?
Yeah, it's
Or
a
should it
different
go back
name.
to the Plan
It's
Commission?
a different
a
name.
little bit. So if the name,
Which it doesn't imply vaping anymore. It basically implies, I'm sorry, what was the name again?
Soothing senses.
There you go.
I did what the planning commission, there was the one guy that also denied it. He said if I changed my name, he probably would have approved it. So he just didn't like my name, right? That one
That's
guy
true,
was-
that's true.
He did say that.
Then
And
why doesn't it go back to the Plan Commission?
it will if you don't approve it.
I think it should go back to,
units to 3,000 square foot units, just based on what's selling in the
It's
area.
just shocking how similar the building appears.
They're the same. They're the same. A little smaller. Next one is discussion, well, this is discussion regarding a conditional use permit and site plan for Clayworks on Highway 83. Is everyone familiar with where that is?
Yes.
Based on the packet? So, successful business. It went from a place teaching classes and that, and doing some pottery sales, to getting more and more and more retail sales through the internet. Go figure. So what he's presented to us is the desire to put up a rather substantial accessory building, and it's not permitted in the zoning based on the size of the structure and the fact that it's a second accessory building. So this did come up for a vote. However, we do need to wait for feedback from Village of Heartland based on a Highway 83 corridor compact we have with them. I believe I'm using the right terms.
Yes.
Where anything that is stepping outside of our zoning needs to have their eyes on it, and if they have substantial complaints or changes that they want to have imposed on it or deny it, we have to get to a meeting of minds on it. And so, I don't know if anyone has questions on it. It's going to come back up in front of us.
I have since it's on the agenda, I have some comments.
Yeah.
So I don't want to sound inconsistent here, but I'm a big supporter of putting our retail where our retail is, and preserving the rest of the city as kind of low density. So the prior motion is, that's where the retail is. And so with this one, it's a 2-acre residential. And if a neighbor wanted a 1,500 square foot garage, we wouldn't give it to him.
Right.
And the other thing and I like that business, but it's in a very precarious spot with this access to Highway 83. And I think any expansion of the use of that site is not in the public's interest.
I agree with you 100%.
And that's a residential still zone, right?
It's
still a
residential,
zone.
yeah.
It's a problem lot, though, because it really doesn't ideally suit itself for residential, so we should deal with it. But I also think the big picture is when 83 is changed, then that corner, the remnants there consolidate to some use that will work. The
Yeah,
other
well,
thing,
so a lot of what the applicant was asking for was for storage purposes.
Yeah.
For a lot of packaging requirements that he has, obviously, and.
well, and with that said, I love the design. I think it actually would help the neighbors in the future because it would be a sound wall. So this thing is conflicted, but what bothers me is that driveway entrance and the kind of activity that we're putting on it. And it's almost like this thing should find access from Oakwood Road and get rid of the 83 thing.
Yeah, no, there's,
And I know that's nothing we can force, but I'm
It
just
passed-
speaking out loud.
the recommendation passed the plan commission. I was in the minority of being against it,
Yeah.
and my concern is not for the welfare, I mean, my concern is for the welfare of the business. I think it's great.
Right.
His families, his daughters are taking it over. But the vision has to be out 30, 50 years about what's
Yeah.
going to happen and what's going to evolve.
Yeah,
And
and
that does open up a
This is
little bit of an
like
issue.
Mission creep. The other
It's a
thing,
tough spot,
You're
but-
probably going to hear something from Heartland on it, but we kind of 20 years ago, consistent with our philosophy, we kind of went along with Heartland to try and de-emphasize retail and access to 83. And both of us have kind of run into each other since. I was thinking maybe we should rethink this thing, but it did avoid 83 becoming Blue Mound with the Shopko sitting out there, because invariably the two communities would have been played against each other by developers. So I'd be interested in their comment on it, because they have pushed, Culver's would have bought and paid for everything on 83, and Heartland put a tip just to help them out, one block back, and I don't know if that's right or wrong, but
So if
this one, it just bothers me a little bit that this driveway, I drive by and it's like, just. If you told me a drive was coming from Oakwood, I'd approve it, because then it's a sound wall.
And you have to close the door right there. You can't let someone else build a 1,500 square foot
Well,
building for their boats or
Yeah,
for, you know what I mean?
And
So
you
we
will
end
get
up
these
with-
arguments from people, and I think we've been pretty strict about the 1,200 square feet. And
It's,
Yep.
it's a beautiful building, though. I just,
it's a little bit of a conundrum.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things
Yeah.
that make you want to say yes, and the
right,
code says no.
exactly. I don't want to,
And there's no action anyway, so we
Yeah.
don't have to
Not
say
today. So,
anything.
Right.
so the question is, when we get the feedback from Heartland, does it it comes straight to here?
Come
not
straight to
pass-
here,
Okay,
unless
all right,
Tom says otherwise.
Correct.
Yeah.
okay.
all right. So I'll go to the next one. Okay, certified survey map for Askren Wrestling Academy at 601 Maple Avenue. And what I'll say here is, I don't know if people are familiar with this, it's adjacent to where the gun club entrance is, just south of the expressway on Maple. And a few years ago, the city annexed this property from the town, and there was impressions that it would be a good fit to consolidate and blend into the industrial park that's down the hill, and it's right south of where SEH's headquarters is, so there's lots of different potential for it. One of the things that came back to the Plan Commission was, this was initially something, I think it was approved several months ago. They came back with an estimate for connecting sewer to the water and sewer to it, that it was cost prohibitive for their business model. So they came back saying, we're going to do a lot split, and we want to put in septic, and we're going to split the lot like this to make it happen. That was the catalyst for making me vote no. I was the only one who did. However, there's other flaws in their CSM, and I'll turn that over to Tom.
Yeah, this was approved by Plan Commission, but then since then we realized this property is looking to obtain access off of SEH's driveway, which is the property immediately north of them. And the city is also proposing a master plan to string water main through the SEH property, ultimately through the Askren property, that would potentially service the gun club property if ever necessary. Those issues were supposed to be incorporated into the CSM, and they haven't been. Also, there was engineering comments that haven't been incorporated into the CSM. So it really was premature for the Plan Commission to approve this. And Askren understands that. He understands that staff is going to recommend to the council that this be denied tonight. And the reason we need to deny it is the clock is ticking. And there's a date in early July. If we don't take action by it, it's automatically approved. So the recommendation is to deny it tonight and encourage the applicant to resubmit.
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I agree with all the comments that Tom has. I do think this, I was an advocate of bringing this in, but I think we have to treat this as an area and make it work. And if it takes time to do that, it's going to.
Yep.
They will have more value out of cooperating with us than just
Yeah, the
doing this
things
alone.
Tom's mentioned, I don't think the applicant has a problem with.
Yeah, this is in their interests.
Yeah. All right, all in favor
I
say
don't know,
aye.
did you get a second?
Yes.
From me.
Check.
I'm sorry, okay.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes.
All right, two quick things then to round off our hour-long Plan Commission report. One of the things that we discussed at the Plan Commission, it was on our agenda for a while, so it was aired to the public for a considerable amount of time, and it had to deal with the entrance signs to the city, where the promotion and tourism came up with new branding for the city, and that's what their job is to market the city. And shortly after the new brown signs went in with the visitdelafield.org request, I think on good faith Public Works or somebody put a bar up to tack additional signs up, and the two signs that were of note on Highway C at least were Tree City USA and Ice Age Trail. Both great things, good we should fully embrace those. However, the litany of follow-up signs being tacked on would be longer than we care to allow just to be continuing to pile on, as a lot of entrance signs to cities get. So we were asked to review, and I think the mayor asked us to
The motion
discuss
came
this.
from the promotion and tourism.
Oh, motion came from promotion and tourism, why are these on our sign? And after
And they asked
some-
to have them removed.
Yeah, and for some deliberation, we agreed to remove the signs, and for lack of finding a spot where we can just say have at it and put whatever sign up you want, there was a lack of consensus to say this is where the collection of Welcome to Delafield and plus check out all these organizations that are part of our community. So there's no such single place that was designated. So as people are hearing this, if we're still open to good ideas to bring to the Plan Commission to recommend something, but for now it's closed. We do not have a sign placard where it's just free game to put your organization's placard.
In the world of the internet today, I don't know that, I think maybe we should move in a direction that we have pretty simple marking signs that this is the city of Delafield.
I'm a huge advocate for exactly that.
Because there's cheaper ways to brand things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where we sit right now. So if someone else has a different idea, come up with a great idea and a great place to put whatever sign you want. And we love the American Legion, the Lions Club, Hawks Inn, everybody.
Yeah.
But do they all need a sign? Is that going to help them? So
just a suggestion for anybody that's listening on this topic, there are many streets that can be adopted and cleaned up. And in exchange for doing that, you get your name on the sign. So if you really would like your name on a sign somewhere and you're willing to pick up garbage twice a year, that's an option for you.
And the next topic is just to remind people, our next Plan Commission meeting is a week from Wednesday, so that is the 26th. And we will have a public hearing and airing of the Hendricks proposal on the former BP gas station and original site of Hawks Inn.
And the drawings are available at City Hall if anybody would like to come in and take a look at them. They've been here, I think, since late last week. So if somebody is interested in perusing them, they are available.
That is all. I pass.
Already?
All right, committee reports. 3C, Lake Welfare Committee, Mr. Maples.
No meeting, no report, because there was a special event that took the place of the Lake Welfare Committee meeting.
Okay, that was I'm drawing a blank on the name of it too.
Annual Lake Awareness
Annual Lake
Meeting.
Awareness Meeting, right.
Thank you, Tom.
Yep.
3D, Park and Recreation Commission, Mr. Grimmer is not here. 3E, Public Works Committee, Mr. Dean.
No report.
F, Delahart Commission, Mr. Ikar.
We survived another successful audit. Delhart is doing well, and we're moving along with our phosphorus reduction improvements. That would be it.
Great, thank you. We'll go on to G, Police Commission, Mr. Saloga.
Yes, we did our meeting 3 weeks ago. Primarily went through Chief Gale, they detailed the budget, which I believe he'll be here in July presenting that.
Great, thank you much. H, Library Board, Ms. Valdy.
Library met last Tuesday, and a couple of cool things. The summer reading program kicked off. Over 340 kids signed up in the first couple of days, so we're pretty excited about that. I would encourage people to go to the City of Delafield's, it's a redesigned web page. It launched in January. There's a wonderful calendar of events to look at, and it's just delafieldlibrary.org, really worth a look-see. There are things for every age person, from learning computers to documentaries and speakers, just really cool things. They also have a zoo pass that is quite popular. We have, you can sign up, I think for a max of, take it out for 5 days, up to 8 people, and it includes parking. So it's a first come, first serve, you cannot reserve it. But it's quite the thing. So yeah, go to delafieldlibrary.org and check out the calendar of events.
Great report. They always come up with something creative all
They're so
the time.
cool. I just feel like such a
It's
loser. I walk in
endless.
and they just go, yeah, we're doing all this cool stuff. I go, okay, I'll write it down.
Good for them. All right, I, Zoning Board of Appeals, Mr. Barron.
No meeting.
Promotion and Tourism, Mr. Saloga.
Yeah, no meeting, no report.
Okay, Lake Country Fire Commission, no meeting, no report. Lake Country Fire Board, Mr. Grimmer's not here. Tree Board, Mr. Grimmer's not here. Last but not least, Tier Management Committee, Mr. Dean.
Bow season is 75 days away.
Is it? Wow.
We are, yeah, we need landowners who are interested in allowing bow hunters to hunt on their property, so please contact me or the city clerk so that we can start matching hunters with the potential landowners. Also attended the Town of Delafield meeting last Tuesday, invited us to come in, talk about deer management, starting to work together with the town. They had 50 permits also from the DNR. Unfortunately, they didn't do very well. They only got 7 deer and only 1 was a doe. So
Wow.
they're looking a lot at our guidance for what we can do since we got 103. So, but we need to work with them. So we will be working a little bit more close with the town of Delafield on the deer management program.
Okay, yeah, because it is a regional thing, right? I mean,
Yep, they do
we all
move.
need to work together on that for sure.
They're afraid that we just chased all the deer to them.
Well, the numbers don't show that.
That's the end of my report.
But if you haven't worked with Michelle on this, I mean, that's a great thing for us to get up on Channel 25, to do a blast out that we're, trying to get people to volunteer with private property and stuff. If you could work with her on that to make sure we do that and have a process for collecting that information in City Hall, that'd be great, because that's how that program, I think, is what's going to help us improve our numbers over last year. And we know there's a lot of people that are interested. We just got to get them on a list. So, great, thanks. Okay, no unfinished business. Mayor's report. Discussion and possible action to appoint Craig Heinze to the Board of Review as an alternate with a term ending April 2021. Is there such a motion?
Also move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. 6A, new business, discussion of possible action regarding the purchase agreement for the land and easement acquisition required for the roundabout construction at the intersection of Golf Road and Golf Court. Mr. Hafner.
Yeah, the purchase agreement was finalized just today, hot off the press. It was distributed to each of you prior to the meeting. If you look at page 140 in your packet, that really demonstrates what the city is purchasing. The land shown in pink on page 140, we are acquiring, doing a fee simple acquisition, so we will own that property. The properties that are yellow, we will be obtaining temporary easements for those areas to do construction in those areas, but we will not be the owner of those areas. We have stuck with our initial price of $50,000, and RPT became willing to sell at that price, and so I'm looking for a motion to approve the sale price of $50,000 in the purchase agreement.
Also move.
Second.
Discussion.
So this is in the budget, right?
This is in the budget. This is in the $1.3 million budget, yes.
No taxpayer dollars, Mr. Maple.
So I see there's yellow on both sides and pink, but are they all the same ownership? I mean, there's one contract.
It is all the same ownership, yes.
Okay.
Great. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. 6B, discussion and request by Alderperson Valdy regarding a process to create and adopt a daylight policy for City Hall actions and decisions.
Yeah, I don't know if there'll be action or more discussion and possible follow-up. I have a little mini dissertation here. It's not that long, really, I promise. I just want to pass them down.
Thank you.
I actually Googled government transparency. I think that I actually met with a constituent before this meeting, just talking about, they're new to Delafield, and it's a couple, and wanted to get to know a bit about how things work, and they were really lovely. And it's part of the, feeds into my proposal, which I think is pretty simple. Looking at what I mean by daylight policy, I'm really looking at sort of concrete steps that can be, we do so much here in our meetings to follow protocol, to publicly give notice of decisions or considerations, to give people an opportunity to express a yay or a nay or give their feedback. And it's unwieldy at best. In the recent, I mean, I've been on Common Council for just a few years now, but in my time, I'm taken aback sometimes how people don't know about things. We had a situation over on West Shore Drive, where I think people followed protocol to a certain extent, and yet a decision was made and some of the folks impacted didn't know about it until it was too late to file an objection. And that's kind of that's a tough one for me to get my head around. When the citizens went to City Hall and asked for an open records just to see what communication did they miss, was it a meeting, couldn't really find much. And I think what happens sometimes is we make decisions as a city, we have to. There's so much that's going on. And, like I mentioned before, like if you need to buy a box of paper clips or copy machine ink or whatever, we certainly don't need to post that up. But when we make decisions that impact property owners, even if they don't own the property, but they're bordering it, as in the case on West Shore Drive, probably, even though I hate armchair quarterbacks, I'm going to be one, we probably should have talked to everybody, not just the property owners. So I guess if you skip back all the way to, you can read my great writing later when you can't fall asleep. On the last page, I have a policy. I'm a believer in the KISS principle, keep it simple. Stupid. So there are three things. And this is really, I would love to discuss this with anyone interested, because I think it will make us run, I think we run incredibly well. And I mean that quite sincerely from the bottom of my heart. I hear people express frustration or whatever, and I think, put your hand up, volunteer on a committee, come here, because there are a lot of really good people working hard and a lot of people volunteering on committees and are not getting paid. So simple things we can do. One, like a transparency policy, not a code, but just a practice that when we're going to do something that impacts a border of a property, we should probably inform everybody that whose property touches that border. And timely can be defined as, in the case on West Shore Drive, with enough notice that if someone doesn't like they can express their contrary view. We should have done that. If the work is below particular dollar amount that we can set, which is why I don't really know that we should do action on this, that we set, then the public notice is not necessary. That's my paperclip purchase exemption. And then the third one I think is really critical, that when we have conversations, we don't have to take, a word for word record of it, but we should maybe record an overall, as I write here, a gist of the dialogue, and then maybe the people involved just put their initials on it or agree, yeah, this is what we talked about. Some citizens are frustrated, and they always will be. As I talk to citizens about, there's so many projects that go on. But I think in my teaching practice, I work for 20 years with more challenged populations of students, and I've had to deliver a lot of unhappy news to parents and happy news to parents. But I got to tell you, in both cases, it's better if I've over-communicated versus under-communicated. And that's the key here, is just the three little ideas. And I guess what I'm putting out here is if anyone wants to refine this, have a dialogue about how we might just insert this in our practice already as city officials. That's it.
I just want to say I would have no problem with implementation of a policy like this, but I'd also like to add that for the specific issue that brought this to light, the West Shore Drive culvert, 11 property owners were notified of what we were doing, including all adjacent property owners. They were notified verbally with meetings in person on site. They were notified through multiple phone conversations with each of the neighbors, and they were also notified in writing, and that written notification was included in the open records request that the city received. So I completely agree with a policy like this, but I believe that this is the practice we've been implementing even regardless of a policy in place.
That's good to know.
On the point number 3, I think if this were to be adopted as a policy to follow, it's extreme. The umbrella that this covers, that point covers, is extremely broad. I mean, it's huge. You really want to be talking about, pin this down into what type of actions, because obviously you're saying official decisions. I mean, there's personnel decisions.
No,
and
that's where I need the refinement. I know it's
and
rough.
there's strategic decisions about how to negotiate, like a strategy on how to approach a group of people on a particular plan that might impact, like how a development's going in,
Right.
saying like, how could we make this work so that it's to everyone's benefit? And if some of those preliminary discussions were documented as a potential policy, I mean, I bet 80% of these ideas get scrapped, and you don't want to hold someone's hands to the fire over like a balloon, like floating a balloon,
Right.
about what do you think about this? And then where I know the mayor and the city administrator and others, promotional tourism and stuff might approach a budget issue, or and then say, well, let's talk to the alderman too, let's get these citizens involved, and then no, we're killing it. But putting all that in writing, I think you're going to waste a lot of time documenting it,
Right.
and you're going to create a lot of unnecessary angst over plans that are doomed to be scrapped anyway.
No, and
so
that's-
we want to
yeah.
we really want to put a finer point on the
Definitely.
where written record you feel that's
Right.
required.
Right. When I counsel a kid, I don't need to write down everything I talked to
Yeah.
little Johnny about. Right,
So-
you're absolutely right. But I think the piece of the West Shore Drive thing that sticks in my head is that getting the wetlands exemption, and there's a 30-day limit to object. And when the couple of property owners say they did not know about that wetland exemptions application, and then when they contact the DNR to express an objection, they were said, well, you missed the deadline by 60 days. That's the stuff, and that's way down the decision-making line, because Tim, I completely agree with you. You know, there are so many things that you discuss that shouldn't be made official, but I think we can come up with a way to tighten this up.
Yeah, and
make
Jackie,
it-
like our communication with the property owners in this case wasn't about the process we have to go through to make the work happen. We just said, hey, we're going to clean out this ditch, we're going to maintain it, we didn't tell them the process that had to be followed to make it happen. I mean, I think if you talk to everyone about the processes and the options available, it'd make people's heads spin if you gave them all the different kind of legal and technical alternatives and parameters that go with certain decisions. And I mean, the unfortunate part is when we brought it up that we were going to clean it, nobody at that time said, oh my goodness, this is wetlands, oh my goodness, frogs and whatnot. And that only happened when the thought process changed from just cleaning out the ditch to putting a culvert in instead of just
Right,
cleaning
and
it out.
closing the system, yeah. Made it different. Yeah, you're right.
Well, certainly, yeah.
So I guess I'm less concerned with that and more concerned with like, okay, moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, like at what point do we make a note of, like I met with the mayor about X, Y, or Z, and, you know, we agreed that these were the 3 different things. And that's what I'm thinking. So I don't know, Tim, if you would be willing to throw a lot of your I can see the wheels turning already.
I'm thinking let's chew on this and
Okay.
revisit it, because
Yeah,
I'm
because
thinking
I don't
about a
think it's ready
mechanism.
for, like, you know, this is just throwing it out
I was
there.
thinking about a mechanism for public right-of-way work or something where when that comes into play, that might be more than replacing something to an as-is, like this is as it's supposed to be condition to an improvement like that, to tap the older person on the shoulder to say, what do you think as a part of that? And I don't want to, so that's just what I'm thinking
Okay.
of as, so.
Well, if you are willing to chew
I
it
am.
with me.
I
Okay.
am.
All right, we'll
Anyone
take
else?
it from there. Anyone else, jump in.
You said public works, so by extension, we're often taking care of drainage off our public with the permission of landowners.
Yeah.
You know, in this case, it was a very narrow piece, but I think there would be some validity to contacting the immediate abutters if you're.
I mean, there's a lot
Which we
of
did.
very, very common day-to-day things that our public works crew do where we have to give DNR a call and say, hey, what do you think about this? Do we need a permit for this? And if we're I mean,
Yeah, that's what I think
Well,
we
you
need to
have to
think about it.
put your input in on it too.
Yep, please,
So
yes.
I'll just summarize by saying, you know, my policy as mayor, and I have certainly full support from everybody in City Hall, is we're as open and transparent on every topic as we can be, right? Are we perfect? Probably not, but we're trying every day to make sure we reach proactively out to people, regardless of what the topic is, right? But some judgments need to be made, and maybe it doesn't always work out perfect, but we're trying. Because it's really important that we are open and transparent in every way we can be.
That's what I tell people. Okay, so we'll just keep knocking this around. Thanks, Tim. And anyone else, feel free.
Well, just a question, new to the board, has this been an issue outside of the West Shore Drive? Has transparency been a systemic issue from constituents? That's came up, is there multiple issues like this in the past?
I would submit that from the perspective of someone, you know, on the Common Council, I think that the Common Council and the City Hall folks try very hard to be transparent, but the perception isn't always that from the general citizenry. I've got an email just this week from a person who I don't know very well expressing frustration, and I always think, really? Because I think we put these out as much as we can.
I do think.
So, yeah.
I do think, well, this issue wouldn't have made the press, but I think the lack of papers now, not everyone follows us on the internet.
Yeah, and we're pushing information to people.
there's-
We're on YouTube. We're trying every possible way that we can. You don't have to come ask us. We'll send you information.
The biggest
right?
question I get, not from people objecting, saying, well, when are they building that thing?
Yeah.
I said, we haven't even approved it. Well, why not?
Well, I'll bet you anything. I saw the digger on next to the Holiday Inn Express. I bet you're going to get a call at City Hall, more than one, about what's going in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like,
What's happening there? Why wasn't I told?
Even though it was on a referendum.
It was a right.
Yeah.
And that's no fault to just people are busy. They got
Yeah.
a lot of other things
Yeah.
to deal with, but.
But I do think we miss the Lake Country Reporter in that sense, because they used to write articles every 2 days
Yeah.
about what was going on in these
Yeah.
towns.
Well, that's the point.
Well, Kelly's back from vacation. If you didn't know, he
No.
called me today, so I would anticipate
it's
some article.
Evan's here.
It's
And
not,
Evan's here.
it's not, well, thank you.
Well, how much that's the
But,
point. So how much is it really a problem of transparency versus the problem of communication or reception of communication?
But we're trying to reach every person,
By
right?
the way,
we're
I've
trying.
had nothing but compliments on that newsletter, and 25 years ago, I didn't think it was worth the money, and I know it, but people are really reliant upon it, and stuffing it full of information is, I've had more than one person say, well, that was really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, we're outlining all the ways you can get information from us in there, and 2 in a row, right? So,
All right.
okay, great. We'll move on to the next item. And report from city officials, 7A Administrator.
Yeah, 3 things to report on. First of all, we concluded our audit, and included in your packet is the 2018 audited financial statements, the independent auditor's report, and the required audit communications to the city council. Bottom line, for 2018, we had budgeted for a net loss of a little over $302,000. We budgeted for a net loss and planned to use excess fund balance to cover that net loss. And I'm happy to say that our net loss was not $302,000, it was only $278,000. So we did about $24,000 better than what we planned for as far as the budget, so that's good news.
Have you ever given the report where it's the other way?
I think there was one year. Yeah.
There was some good, the bad news is that we can't sustain that budgeting, right?
Yeah, we've talked about that, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
We should all be very well aware of that operating budget discussion issue.
So any other questions or discussion on the audit? Okay, the second one, another piece of good news, we had our bond sale, which the council had approved. If you remember, Ellers was estimating that we might see interest rates on our bonds of about 2.55%. The effective interest rate actually came in at about 2.09%. We also received, there was a premium bid of $89,000, which allowed us to reduce the sizing of our borrowing. So that was all good news.
It is good news.
Yeah, any questions on that?
That's some
So
cheap money.
So when I know we saved, but when you see the bonds in future financial reports, the interest now is a stated interest rate, is that right? Because we offered 3, and then they bid under, I know, so they drive it down, but,
Right,
so,
so it'll be a higher interest rate that you see.
Yeah.
But we get the premium that reduces the borrowing, and then
Right.
you calculate what the
I know
effective
the cash
interest rate
flow
is.
out, we're at 2, but I just was thinking about that today.
Yep. And then lastly, a new initiative that we're putting more effort into. For many years, we've had these stormwater maintenance agreements with developers, but largely they've gone unenforced. And now as we look around, we start to see some issues popping up with our stormwater ponds. We see trees and woody vegetation growing in a lot of them and things like that. So we are undertaking an initiative to send out letters to all owners of stormwater ponds. So this will be businesses, this will be neighborhoods with homeowners associations, letting them know what their responsibilities are. They're supposed to be doing an annual inspection, and then we're going to hold them accountable for that. We'll be establishing due dates that annual inspections are due to us by.
Thank you.
And ultimately, looking for them to, we'll give them a checklist on what they're supposed to be looking at. It will be something that the average layperson can do. They won't have to hire an engineer or something like that. Largely the biggest effort will be some of these groups will have to get out there and cut down some trees and stuff that have popped up.
So we have all these great codes and things that tell us about maintaining our water and so forth, when people construct things, but we really lacked on the follow-up to make sure that they're maintaining these facilities, right? So this is an initiative to do that. And it could be a subdivision with 5 homes in it that has the responsibility for maintaining it. So you could get calls from a constituent possibly who said, hey, I got this letter and I don't understand why. Or it could be, somebody who's developing the Chick-fil-A, or owns the Chick-fil-A or RPT or, a corporation or a company or the people that own the building that could be receiving this. So it does cover a wide gamut, just so you're aware.
So how does that notice get sent out to like a subdivision where there's a common lot without necessarily even a homeowners association that might have been dissolved?
Yeah, so that's the trickiest part of what we're going through right now, and we're working on that. So ideally, with the ones that have associations, we're trying to identify the key contact person, a president of an HOA or something like that. But if we do get to some neighborhoods where we've got maintenance agreements in place and they got ponds in place, and the HOA's been dissolved or just been neglected, we'll probably look at an outlot is owned collectively by every homeowner in the subdivision, and we may have to look at sending a letter out to everybody. It'll be a sticky wicket to address and identify a key contact person in the neighborhood, but we'll see what we can do.
All right.
But we're proactively bringing it to you, right?
Not that I live in such an environment or anything, but we've got a nice little wooded area growing up in a spot that should not have trees.
Right.
I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah.
And there's a homeowner association. I'm sure it's very common that they're dissolved or just don't have meetings, and so.
So I don't understand why trees. It's probably for another day, but.
Well, they don't
What's
help.
wrong with them?
Yeah, no, I know.
I could understand if it's in a ditch for flow, but I mean, if it's just a
This
settlement.
is it'd be interesting. I'll wait for the letter.
I can bring some technical information, but the roots can cause the embankments can cause structural problems in embankments. A minor thing is leaf litter. You don't want to let the leaf litter in the ponds.
That I could see.
Things like that, but I can come up with the list of the reasons why.
Maybe
it
we could
is.
post something on one of our agendas that would cover it all, or some of it.
And a lot of it's
folks
just
could look.
buckthorn, right? You just got to get in there and take care of it. You're done in a day, right?
But if we could post, something and say, here, look there, it'd be helpful.
Okay, we'll do.
We do have at least 3 homeowners associations that have been dissolved. So one of the subdivisions has, like Tom said, a couple houses, but the other one is fairly significant, so you guys may receive a few phone calls.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to clerk's report.
The first item I have for 7B1 is discussion and action regarding the voucher list.
Move to approve the voucher list.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes.
And then the next item is just a reminder, or just an update, I guess, that the fireworks application for the 4th of July fireworks set on July 6th was approved. Doesn't need to be approved by the council, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew when it was happening and that the rain date is on July 7th. They expect the fireworks to start at around 9:15 p.m. Thank you.
Great, thank you much. Council requests for future agenda items.
I would like to request report on Hawks Inn activities. Due to a regrettable glitch, their information didn't make our newsletter. So Hawks Inn.
Oh, right.
So I'm on their board, so I would like to just let people know what's going on there as we move forward in the future. I know I can do that anytime.
We
just
did
about.
send that one over to Accurate, and it just didn't.
Regardless of why we are where we are, so I'd like to say check out hawksin.org. There's a lot of fun stuff going on this summer.
I agree.
All right. There's an ice cream social coming up that you can't miss.
I have one little teeny one, and that is the Arbor Day flag. If it can be hung horizontally instead of vertically, because
Can we take that care of that at staff level?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying, yeah, it doesn't have to be an agenda item. Just-
Okay.
Every time I walk in, I go, I hate that.
She'll bring it up. Okay, notice from Waukesha County to Ken Atwell regarding the 2019 recycling dividend. Under correspondence, if there are questions about
Did
that,
see
we
it,
can
yeah.
go
Did we
through it,
get-
but that money's drying up, is basically what it says. So, great. Seeing no further business, therefore the meeting is adjourned at 8:31.